Welcome to Northminster Presbyterian Church, and thank you for joining us in honoring Reverend Charlotte Sommers in anticipation of her retirement at the end of this month. The congregation members and friends have enjoyed almost 14 years with Charlotte at our helm, and you'll be hearing from lots of people about what this has meant to us and in the larger community. Most of the music today was requested by Charlotte, with a few exceptions, and they'll be pretty obvious. But one of those exceptions is the first piece that would be played by Duncan Jones, and there's no title or anything after his name, so I wanted to explain. Duncan was a member of our choir for many decades and served often in the unpaid but much appreciated role of substitute director and accompanist. He also played piano frequently, both at worship and other events, and the piece he'll be playing today is one that Charlotte requested many times over the years. While we're sad to lose Charlotte as our teaching elder and pastor, we have lots of great memories of amazing things that happened during her shepherding. So today is a day of celebration, and we hope you enjoy hearing some of our reminiscences as much as we will. After the program, we hope you will join us for a simple reception in the Ark, which is our social hall. Turn left upon leaving the sanctuary, and there's a sign showing where to enter at the far end of the hall. Thank you.
Arrialle. And, I wasn't going to get emotional. Char and I have been friends since we were 10, and been a part of each other's lives since my mother, Eunice, for those of you who are here this morning, you know that's key. But my mother is Eunice Raar, and she made me go see the new preacher's kid. And so that's the story of our friendship, how we first met. And that was the beginning. And, you know, Char and I never attended any school together other than Sunday school. And even in Sunday school, you know, after a few years, the superintendent made sure we weren't in the same class. Perhaps it was because we were also the kids who snuck candy into choir, put olives in Dr. Morgan's drink up at the podium. But in any case, that's our friendship has lasted. We've traveled together, and I'm really honored to have been asked to come today. But it's an interesting thing. My husband and I moved recently, or I should say we sold our house a year ago and put everything in storage. So you have this picture, we don't have a lot of stuff, we're like unencumbered. And about 2 weeks ago, I was looking for something, and this piece of paper fell out of a folder. I have no idea why it showed up, other than for today. And it is the program from your service of ordination. And at that service, my mom presented the candidate. And you can see there are a lot of people who, from First Presbyterian Church, Birmingham, were Char's mentors. And I got to serve coffee. But today, you get me. And I thought today that I would embrace an iconic picture of our friendship. And it is the flamingo. And I'll tell you a little later why the flamingo is sort of a symbol of our relationship. But I thought I would do a little research. I couldn't find anything really about a flamingo in the Bible. There was, you know, the eagle, the sparrow, but I figured it must have been on the ark. But I read up on this beautiful bird, and, you know, the first thing that's most noticeable is its color, and that is how it got its name, flame. And so, you know, I know, Char, that you have, with your friends and your family and this place that you have led, fanned the flames of unity and spiritual growth. And I hope that you would all agree with that with me too. I thought about another part of the flamingo is its beak, so I read about that. And they dunk their heads under and capture their food, and then it acts as a sieve. And I think that, you know, some of your leadership in our friendship and with your congregation here too, and in the community, you've helped us think about intolerance and personal growth and self-control and leadership, not having to be the one always in control. Those are some of the things I've learned from Char. Another thing about the flamingo is that it is very social. And it always is in a big flock. And so we all are part of your flock. And there are more than who are here, you know. And so part of the thing I think that we as your flock need to remember is that we want to support you in your next journey. But all of us and all the lessons that we have learned really have to remember that if we live out the lessons that we've learned, they're long-lasting and show up in different ways. And I was reminded of this really this week. My husband Kim was meeting with an old business friend of his, and this is someone who was on a contract in the Detroit area and needed a place to live. And Kim said, "Oh, I know someone who has a place that they might rent." And so we connected Bob with Shar and Chip. And Bob rented Chuck Sommers' apartment for a while he was in town, so it was a really good situation for him. And so Bob brought this up to Kim this week, and I thought it was such a good story, especially since Shar told me that she is trying to empty her library out here, and Priscilla happened to mention that she has a whole folder of Charlotte's sermons that she likes to read every now and then. But Bob told Kim that he had fallen away from his faith and living in that environment. He read all of Chuck's sermons. He read all of Chuck's library, and he was a faithful and practicing Christian again, like it was a difference maker in his life. And so we never know what we are, what seeds we're planting with the people that we're engaging with. So we can be a good flock. Now, to get to the part about the flamingo, how did the flamingo become our little symbol? And really, it's all back when we were about 15, and I really don't know why. Other than we were on a family vacation. See, there's another part here. I really became one of the Sommers kids, and Shar became one of the Raar's kids. And so we had more parents and more siblings and more vacations. And so Shar came with our family on a vacation, and we were at the San Diego Zoo. And there's this great picture, which prior to moving and putting everything in storage I saw, but I couldn't come up with it. There's Shar and I standing there like this. By the flamingos. And so the other piece is that, they have this leg they pull up. And so I read about that, and really scientists aren't quite sure, but they think maybe the flamingo pulls their leg up for warmth because they're standing in cold water all the time. But I think that I'd like to remind you to do something that you've sort of helped me, and that's keep balance. All right. So with that, I'd like to send you off. This flamingo doesn't have his bow tie on like a penguin, because he is going to be celebrating and doing the other part that you've taught me a lot about, and that's joy and fun and everything we do.
Two things. I really hate following Andi. Second thing, she and I in no way communicated about what we were going to say. So every word, well, no flamingos, but you will hear many similar words, and they're all original from me. In the late summer of 2004, there were several hints that Northminster was in for a treat with the calling of our newest pastor. Our interim, who knew Charlotte from a class they had taken together, was enthusiastic. She's a really neat lady. A Pam music acquaintance from New Jersey was envious. You're getting a really fine oboe player, The excitement of the pastor nominating committee was palpable. She went to Worcester. And she turned out to be all of those things. Spiritual leader, talented oboe player, and cheerleader for Worcester. But the icing on the cake was Charlotte's hidden talent. I practiced this. Why, you may ask, of all the amazing things Charlotte has led this congregation through over the past nearly 14 years, does this particular activity stick in my mind? Perhaps it was because it was one of the first indications that Charlotte knows how to have a good time, and that she doesn't take herself too seriously. One of the first all-church events that happened after Charlotte's arrival was the talent show. When members, young and old, channel their favorite performers or show off talents no one knows they have. Such was the case with Charlotte, who, as it happened, was going to be out of town for the show. But having demonstrated her ability at one of our Thursday night dinners when she had all the kids desperately trying to hang plastic spoons off of their noses, some are nodding their heads, you remember this? Yes. She was convinced to make a video on the theology of spoon hanging to be shown at the talent show. Adorned in her pastor's garb and with a totally deadpan manner, she managed to work some questionable biblical history into her demonstration of spoon hanging. I think it's safe to say that many in the audience were seeing a side of Charlotte they had not yet encountered in real life. As we got to know Charlotte, those of us fortunate enough to be on staff shared many laughs together. Staff meetings were never dull, but along with the lighthearted talk, we all felt that staff was a safe place to share deeper feelings and concerns. Charlotte's non-judgmental, supportive, and collegial leadership style encouraged us to be creative in our thinking about worship and programming in general. For me personally, being able to work with a pastor whose passion is worship planning is always a joy. If I leave anyone out here, please, Midge, forgive me. Midge, whose memorial service we had yesterday, would always said, if you're not sure that you're not going to leave someone out, it's better not to make any lists at all. Yes. But with fear and trembling, Charlotte, Christy Gaynor, Joanne Blair, Cynthia Buchanan, Jennifer Kondak, Ann and Bill Robertson, Martha Babcock, and anyone else I may have forgotten, and I had many energizing conversations about how to enrich worship through word, music, art, and pretty sounds. And drama. Carol Hartung and now Suzanne Joy somehow made all these extra things fit into the bulletin, with almost never a complaint. And then there were the social activities. Christmas lunches, whether in Charlotte's home or a local restaurant, were always a December highlight and a welcome break from the busyness of the Advent season. At other times of the year, Charlotte would have coffee at Starbucks or lunch at Recipes with staff members individually in order to have some one-on-one conversation away from church. These were all important to building a cohesive staff who felt safe, sharing feelings, and who always felt like we had each other's backs. Others will be speaking about Charlotte's influence in the wider community. So in closing, I'd like to highlight what members of the Northminster community already know. Charlotte has been a faithful shepherd to her flock. Hospital and home visits, counseling, representing the church and the larger community, moderating session, keeping track of church committees, weddings, memorial services, special occasional services. Oh, and then there's that pesky weekly sermon 48 weeks of the year. And in Charlotte's case, playing oboe for Jose worship and other times with the bells or choir. A solo pastor does all these things and more, and still manages to cheerfully greet the congregation during coffee hour on Sundays. Solo pastoring is hard, but Charlotte has fulfilled her call with grace and goodwill. Blessings to you, Charlotte, as you listen for what God next has in store for you.
I thought Marjorie's going to be here too.
And we had agreed, since we couldn't get together, that we would just stand up here and represent and wing it.
Same rule, right? What happens on trips stays on trips.
That's right. I was going to mention that, yeah, so. So, well, I got to know Charlotte through what started out being called a Sustaining Pastoral Excellence Group. And gradually, I mean, we had a boring name compared to the other group that showed up at St. Francis Retreat Center. And so we eventually ended up reading, we often focused part of our time when we would go away on a retreat on a book. And we read The Dance of the Dissident Daughters. And so we eventually became the Dissident Daughters. And so, as Mary mentioned, there are things that we can't tell. Because what stays on trips does stay on trips. What happens in Torrey-Alpino or Edinburgh or wherever stays there. But anyway, we've shared some wonderful journeys together. Lots of time at St. Francis Retreat Center and a few other retreat centers over the years. A couple of times at Mission Point. We've been to Scotland together and we spent a week on the Isle of Iona. And then Charlotte was so gracious. It was a couple of years before we went, our first time we applied for the sabbatical, and she said, so, if I get this sabbatical, would you come with me for some time in Italy? And it seemed like a long time ago, and in the future, and so we said, well, sure, but who knew? But it did happen, and it was just such a wonderful time to join Charlotte in Italy for part of that time. Something come to mind for you, Mary? It's been a great privilege and joy to share some journeys and just the larger journey with you, Charlotte. We've worshiped together, we've studied and prayed together, we've traveled together, we've been a community, our group, together. We've shared music. Sometimes Charlotte's played her oboe, we've done a lot of singing, we've shared laughter, the occasional tear. We've supported one another, we've challenged each other to grow. You've certainly challenged me to grow and to be a better pastor, a better person. Charlotte has been such a gift to our group. We've, the quiet wisdom, your serenity, your spiritual centeredness. It's been such a gift to be with you on this. Jump in.
Jump right in, okay.
Please.
There's really not enough time to say great things about Charlotte, but like Fran, all of us have been blessed by your wisdom, your faithfulness, your curiosity, your creativity, your ability to pick up a musical instrument and know how to play it just 4 days later is always
Ukulele.
Yes, the ukulele. We can't talk about the ukulele. So you can retire from paid ministry, but you can't retire from being a minister, which is truly who you are. It's woven into everything that you are and do. So we're excited for your next chapter.
So blessings to you as you figure out, discern what that is.
My name is Bob Cornwall. I'm going to represent a few different groups. First of all, on behalf of the clergy in the room, the word already present and already spoke, I'll represent the rest of us. I will represent Troy Area Interfaith Group, who is well represented today, and also as the pastor of Central Woodward Christian Church down the street. First of all, I need to say this, is that Charlotte did not clear this retirement thing with me or, as far as I know, any of the rest of us. And I must say, none of us are at all happy. For one thing, Charlotte is a year younger than me, so I mean, how does she get off? Tired. But, and then I figured within a month of retiring, she'd be bored and need something to do. So I needed someone to preach for me on July 9th.
I asked too.
And she didn't even think about it. It was an emphatic no. And I guess I'm not alone. So just to colleagues, if you're looking for a spare preacher, she says give her a year. So I just want to say a couple of things, and I don't have a script, I didn't write anything out, just wanted to share a few things. Charlotte was, when I got here almost 9 years ago, Charlotte was the convener of Troy Area Interfaith Group. And I immediately got involved in TIG. I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. I got this email, and so I responded, and I was told that I was now part of the steering committee. And I didn't understand that. I'm just brand new. How do I get on the steering committee? What was going on? But I immediately got involved, and Charlotte was the leader of the group. She was the convener. I followed her in that position, and it was a beginning of a partnership in ministry that I think continues through today and onward into the future. Even if she is no longer serves here at Northminster. And I just need to say to Northminster, just because Charlotte is retiring doesn't mean that the relationship and partnership in ministry between Northminster and Central Woodward ends. Don't think you're off the hook. I have not yet, Sarah has not yet informed me who the interim is. She's not allowed to do that, but my first duty will be to tell the new interim that, just to inform that person as to the nature of the relationship that has been forged between our two congregations that rooted in the relationship that Charlotte and I forged over the past 9 years. She is a blessing to us all. I get to spend time with her still. She can't be with you Northminster folk, but that doesn't mean she has to not spend time with us. Right? All of us from TIG and clergy group and everything. She doesn't go away, but she will have to go away from Northminster. But she has represented this community in many, many different ways. I've been a blessing to the community. She is a blessing to all of us in so many ways. And there's a gentle spirit that Charlotte has, but there's also tenaciousness as well. And so I could go and ramble on, and I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, Charlotte, on behalf of TIG, the Troy clergy group that's present, and Central Woodward. We love you. You are part of us forever. Amen.
I'm sorry if I haven't recognized this person or here, but we were hoping to have someone from city government or city council. Did that person sneak in and I missed them? No? Well then, I'll tell you, because we want to all know about it. The city of Troy has made a proclamation honoring Charlotte, which I guess she'll get later. But we're very proud of her, and especially proud that lots of other people know how wonderful she is too. So.
I'd like to invite the children to come forward for the children's message. I have something very important to talk about today.
Wait, how many of us are here today?
Talk less.
You said be quiet.
No, you be quiet.
What I'm trying to say is,
We have 2 dogs. I know a story about a dog. Let me tell it to you.
hey,
Please.
I want to give a word of warning.
He started.
Whoa! Listen up. I'm going to retire soon, and you'll have a new pastor.
No.
Yes, and I need a favor.
Whatever you say, as long as you stay.
One last time. Relax, pass the peace with me. One last time. Let's break the bread today, and we'll teach them how to say goodbye. To say goodbye. You and I.
Pastor Charlotte, why?
I want to talk about theology. I want to warn against interdenominational fighting. Cheer up, you guys, no crying. I want to talk about what I have learned, hard-won wisdom I have earned.
As far as the congregants are concerned, you have to serve. You can continue to serve.
One last time, the people hear from me. One last time, and if we get this right, we're gonna teach them how to say goodbye. You and
Pastor Charlotte, they will say we're weak.
No, they will see we're strong.
Position is so unique.
So I'll use it to move us along.
Why do you have to say goodbye?
If I say goodbye, the congregation learns to move on. It outlives me when I'm gone. Like the scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine and the fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. Be safe in the church that we have led.
You will sit under your own vine and fig tree, home and alone in the shade, and the peace to the church that you led. One last time, one last time.
Pastor Charlotte's going home. Teach them how to say goodbye.
Pastor Charlotte's going home.
Teach them how to say goodbye.
One last time.
Hi, I'm Dave Cizmas, and I'm representing the congregation. And you're never supposed to follow kids or animals. I don't know, well, this is going to go off. But I'm here to speak about our tenure with Charlotte and the many gifts she has given us. We've heard quite a few of those already. But we thought we would line them up with her first name so that you guys might remember them a little better. But to do that, I need some help. And okay, Julie, all right. Now, Julie's going to need your assistance in this project here, so pay attention to her, and we might get through this.
Give me a C.
C is for the children's message, which we saw a little part of, and that's led to many funny responses from the kids, and from you.
Give me an H.
Happily sharing services with Central Woodward, Troy First, and Warren Presbyterian.
Give me an A.
Always supportive, being available to support those in need.
Give me an R.
Round. Organizing the seating in the sanctuary like Shakespeare's theater.
Give me an L.
The labyrinth. Yeah, the labyrinth, right. Who could miss that famous landmark?
How about an O?
Oh, no? Beautifully playing the oboe with the choir and bells.
And a T.
The Taizé worship services that were introspective and spiritual.
Another T.
Troy Interfaith Group, promoting the understanding of various faiths.
And last but not least, the E.
Engaging sermons, giving us different ways of interpreting our faith. Now, in conclusion, ready?
Go ahead.
Some of you older folks might remember this song, or might
I don't.
You do. Well, here it goes. Northminster was the place to be. Charlotte Sommers fitted wonderfully. The gifts she brought to us made us rich. Who would expect that from this talented?
No, Dick. Retirement is the place to be. Listen, Charlotte, it's calling to thee. Skiing, biking, and Iona's fresh air. Now's the time to discover what's out there.
Northminster, you have filled her days.
Goodbye to cold offices and hallways.
Retirement, here she comes. Do-do-do-do-do.
On behalf of Northminster, the whole congregation and beyond, many contributions were received far and wide, and we have some tokens of our love and esteem. I guess we don't have to, we can bring them to you, but first is a trunk full of memories. And there's people who engage you for a while, I think, to read notes and look at pictures.
It's a memory box.
Yes, there's a latch on Hopefully you'll enjoy it for many hours. And we have small talk. It was made for Ruth.
It's a beautiful medallion. I'll leave it up
A
here.
sea glass pendant. Which kind of commemorates a time that was special, I think, for us. In Lent, in March of 2015, we had sea glass that we shared with one another during the service. And there were extra left over, and Caroline Kondak had the idea to share them with the Capuchin group. And they have a group of mothers who come and meet on a weekly basis while their children are in the preschool and care there. And we sent them on to them with a beautiful poem that was written by Krista Gaynor for the mothers to share. And we had one made for Charlotte. A genuine sea glass from Brittany, France.
Charlotte, we have some photos, obviously, for you representing the time that's so special for us. And there is an album in the box that has more photos.
Thank you so much.
And card.
Great treasure.
wonderful day I will never forget. So many of you here represent my last 14 or so years in my life. First Presbyterian of Birmingham, and the Troy Interfaith Group, the Troy clergy, as we've heard. Baby Basics, friends and volunteers are here. My oboe teacher is here. And dissident daughters, of course. And the presbytery, probably leaving someone out. So I apologize, my family. I'm so grateful for all of you. And so, as you know, I'm excited, I'm nervous about the future. I will continue to pray for all of you, as I said this morning, that you continue in joy and hope and faith, that you continue to love both within these walls and outside these walls in the larger community as you have done so well. I appreciate so much all that you have taught me. And I found this prayer. It's a prayer, but it's also a poem. As you know, I love poetry. It's written by Raar. God, you gave us breath, so for you, I'll breathe deeply. You gave us light, so for you, I'll keep hoping. And you gave us love, so I'll try to love fully. God, you gave me hands for you, I'll keep reaching. You gave me a heart, so I'll count the beating. And try to remember to say thank you. Thank you again and again and again. God, you gave me all that I have, the strength to stand up, the chance to see you. Octobers and coffee and each shade of blue. And I try to say thank you, but thank you won't do. So today I breathe deeply for you. I'll hope until hope breaks through. I'll love and reach and count heartbeats and say thank you again on repeat. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So may the peace of Christ be with us all. May the grace and love and kindness of our Lord give us hope and joy for the future. Amen. Amen.